Hi, welcome back to Phoenix Flight Manual. I'm Kesi Afiya and I'm just going to be making a reasonably short video for you today about psychics. So I'm going to make this short video because I am psychic. It's going to be coming up a lot on the channel as I'm offering you here my perspective, and that is a huge influencer on my perspective. So the other reason that I wanted to really touch on this and offer a little bit more understanding about what it means to be psychic activity, etc., is because I feel like there's a lot of like misconception around it, and one of the main ones being that it is like a supernatural power. It is not. It is entirely natural. Not supernatural, except that it's just super normal natural. So the reason why I also wanted to share it is also to help people kind of start to pinpoint and discern for themselves what is psychically active within them, or what's becoming more psychically active. Anyone who is energetically sensitive will tell you that the energy globally has been shifting in some really dramatic ways. Increasingly over the last however many years, I mean, it's been leading up from forever, but like in the last several years, it's been particularly intense. 2019 was just phenomenal. If anyone was following the astrology last year, it was just unbelievable. So for anyone who's wanting to understand how this works within them better, it is my experience that until people have a sound understanding of their sixth sense, which I don't actually really like that term, but that I call it extrasensory abilities, that you can really have it quite active within you without actually being able to discern and identify that that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to be making a separate video that gets into what my abilities are, what that's like, and some of the kind of behind the curtain, what that experience is really actually like. So I thought it was best to start off with a kind of basic understanding, and then if you're interested to know more about the actual experience, stay tuned. So another one of the major misconceptions about psychics is one that affected me. I did not know for the longest time that I was psychic, which is to say, I knew that I was psychic from a very young age, but I did not have that title to put on it, that label, because of this misconception. So I feel like in film, psychics are pretty much always portrayed as clairvoyant, and clairvoyance is just one avenue of psychic ability, basically. So you have clairvoyant, which these are Latin terms. So this means clear sight. You have claircognizance. This is clear understanding. So this is usually described as if you just have the answer to a question, or you just know something that you shouldn't really know. You weren't taught that, it wasn't ever shown to you, you just know it. So not necessarily like a skill or a talent, but information. Clairsentient, so this is clear sense, basically. So kind of in the sense of like sensuality to basically in the same kind of way that say like a leopard or a tiger or something has that hyper sense in their sensuality, where they can tell what's happening around them in even the tiniest movements. They feel it on just a very heightened level. And then there's clairaudience. So clairaudience is where people hear certain things. I know people who've heard like music that comes through. So not necessarily like music that we are familiar with on our kind of, within our system of, you know, scales and this and that. It's something very different. People hear messages. So these are all the different avenues of, like, in general, being psychic. Then you have two kind of like side avenues from that, if you will. It's kind of hard to explain, but that is basically two aspects of the same thing, different focuses of the same thing, but it would be medium. So technically, I guess, to be a medium is not the same thing as to be psychic, but it really is. It's still in that psychic activity field, and mediums are able to communicate in a clear way with the spirit realm. So the other side of that is an oracle. So what's the same is that they're both communicating with the spirit realm in a very clear, you know, cognizant way. So, but a medium, generally, as I understand it, I'm not a medium per se. So, as I understand, they generally communicate with spirits of, like, people. So if you wanted to talk to or communicate with your father who passed away, you would go see a medium. And I don't know what it is exactly that aligns them in that way with that type of channeling. It seems very specific to me. I've not had, well, kind of, but yeah, not really had such a specific lane that I've had given to me like that. It seems like a very, like, kind of narrow lane to be in, but we're going to be looking into this stuff more and more together as we go along with the videos and the channel. So the other side of that is oracles. So again, oracles are able to communicate with the spirit realm. However, they are communicating basically where the mediums more strictly communicate with people, the spirits of people. Oracles communicate with the spirits of deities. So basically, yeah, if you wanted to communicate with someone who's passed on, you want to go see a medium. If you want to get a message from your spirit guides or from a deity in particular, you could go to an oracle who could provide that for you. So then some of the different ways that you might hear people speak about psychic experience. So like when that's happening for them, you hear the term channeling, for anyone who doesn't know this already. Some people will say downloads. If you are clairvoyant, people will use the term I had a vision. But oftentimes people will be more vague too and say, you know, I had some kind of insight or revelation, aha moment. An epiphany is just another word for channeled experience or channeled information, download. This is all one and the same thing. So I like to call my intuition the male center for the divine. Or if you are not like so spiritually inclined, if you think of it like the universe. And whatever messages are coming through, it comes through my intuition. I have the option to check my mail and then do something about whatever information I've received, or I have the option to not and just let it all stack up and pile up. And in my experience, it is not like bills. Yes, it is bad to ignore your bills, but it is much, much, much worse to ignore your intuition. So basically, we all have intuition that is actively affecting us at all times. Psychics have a different perspective and a different relationship with their intuition, where their relationship is allowing that information to come through more consistently, more clearly, more fluidly, whereas when we have that turned off, or we don't open our mail, we can find that things just get super, 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 super difficult for us, and we just can't really say why. Especially if we're not really doing anything out of the ordinary. It's like you've got all this mail that's trying to explain to you, no, you've got to go this way, and you keep going that way. And then things keep going wrong. But we've got to take the time to really sit with ourselves before we can really start to discern our intuition from our ego. So thoughts, feelings, and intuition are like the three kind of influencing factors on our free will, basically, what we choose. And so our intuition is really coming through with what's best for us. It's like directions on how to get where we really, truly, deeply, deeply want to go, because nothing is as it appears to be. So when nothing is as it appears to be, but there's a part of you that is able to align with what you're trying to get to without being able to see it, your intuition, it's of no benefit to you unless you listen to it and actually like apply that information to what you're trying to do. Thoughts, huge influencing factor on our choices, our direction, our subsequent experience in life, and how we show up. So thoughts are loud. Speaking from my own psychic experience, the energy of thoughts is very loud. Emotions are too. Emotions are actually much, much, much louder. But the energy of thoughts is almost mechanical, like clinking and clacking around. or a lot of like gears shifting. It's a lot of movement and shifting and moving and putting things together. And it's not generally super fluid. It depends on your thoughts and your state of mind, of course. But say, you know, generally if we're having an issue we're trying to resolve, then we're in our heads and we're thinking, and that energy is what I'm describing there. So you have that energy, you have your intuition, your backed up pile of mail, and then you have your emotions. And so in this kind of like context, I would say like emotions is more like an energy of like sound. So it's very loud, but it's like depending on what your emotions are, it could be really unpleasant or it can be really beautiful. And that's not to say that the person who's experiencing those emotions is really unpleasant or really beautiful. It's just the energy. That's how it feels. That's how it's experienced. So like, you know, if you're in like a really foul mood because you just got fired and there's been some kind of conflict building up to that point and you just really felt like you got screwed over in the end, your energy, if we're thinking of it as sound, it's not going to sound pretty. It's just not. So when you're picking up that energy, it can be really abrasive and jarring and in your face. And we're all experiencing energy in this way, but not necessarily with the fullness of awareness, or sometimes any awareness at all, and then some, you know, all in between. So when we're not aware of this, but we're picking it up, this is when we just don't like somebody or we're just having an attitude with someone, even if it's our friend, we love them, and we're just really, they're rubbing us the wrong way today. Generally, it's because there's a dissonance in your energy. Generally, your energy harmonizes really well. And for whatever reason, what's going on, there's a dissonance. So when you think about that again as sounds, if somebody's bringing in emotions that really do not mix well with the other person's emotions at that point in time, it can really feel like tension. And I think we all know what that feels like. Don't need to be psychic to know what that feels like, but that's actually a really, really great example of how we're all experiencing energy in a psychoactive manner that we don't necessarily consider, oh, I'm psychic. So what's the difference between a psychic and a regular person with their psychoactive aspects? Generally, in my experience, personally and for those who I've met, they have strong bloodlines, basically, of people who were actively practicing these tools. Like, you know, if you come from a family of musicians for long lines, generally many people of that line will naturally just have an affinity for music. It's just like that. So that's basically the little breakdown of what psychic means. I'd love to hear any questions if anybody has any. Something I didn't really cover or explain, because I'm still kind of feeling out like how deep to get into everything. Do I need to break it down or not? So let me know if you have some experiences you'd like to share, and especially any questions. So my email will be down there, but definitely you can always say something in the comments, which I would love. And I definitely appreciate those who have subscribed and liked the videos and are supporting the channel. It means of the world, and it gets me very excited to keep going and make more content. And I love to have you involved. So thank you so much, and I will see you again very soon.